What is up, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be dressing the haters, the Poatards as we know them, Alex Pereira fans who are just delusional, you know, and angry all the time. And I'm not talking about all Alex Pereira fans. You know, there are actually some who respect Alex Pereira, love Alex Pereira for the fighter he is, the person he is, and the amazing character he plays as his role in the UFC and the arc he brought to the UFC and MMA fans all over the world. And you know, I would consider myself one of those fans because I love Alex Pereira too. But then there's the Poatards, which love Alex Pereira but hate everybody else, especially Israel Adesanya and especially Israel Adesanya fans. So I'm going to be addressing those haters, those fans. However, I'm also going to be talking about Jamahal Hill if he's coming back too soon. We know that he got scheduled for his matchup against Khalil Rountree for UFC 303. And then also on this video, I'm going to be talking about Garcia versus Devin Haney, the upset that shocked the world, and what's to follow, the chaos that Garcia brought to the boxing community. So before we get into all of this, I just want to let you guys know I don't post a lot of these opinionated type videos anymore. Mainly I'm doing breakdowns on this channel and reactions because I know you guys really love those and enjoy those. If you guys want to hear more of my casual opinion and just time where I get to sit down and just banter about everything going on in MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and all of these different martial arts around the world, then I really suggest that you actually tune in to my podcast, The Will versus the Way, which is an uncensored MMA podcast. Therefore, we're not going to bleep anything out. We're not going to censor anything that we're saying. You get the raw talk from not only a fan and myself who's been a fan since 2015 2013 of UFC and MMA in general, and an MMA fighter as well. However, also you get the opinion of a casual fan, my friend Terrence, and he has a lot of shit that you might agree with, but you also might question. So if you guys are interested in that, we actually already covered a couple of these topics that we're going to be discussing here today in our last episode 38. If you're curious, I'll leave a link in the description down below. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share your thoughts down below as you watch along the video, and you're more than welcome to subscribe to join the Nwadei MMA family. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. So, is Jamahal Hill coming back too soon? Is UFC 303 too soon to come back and fight a guy like Khalil Rountree who can really hurt you and who's been devastating his last 5 opponents? I mean, he's on a 5-fight win streak. He just got through brutalizing Anthony Smith. He beat Chris Dawkins as well by TKO. He's leg kicking people, stomping people, kicking people on the ground, and he's a vicious fighter. I think we can all admit that Khalil Rountree has come into a new state of his career. He's wanting to fight Alex Pereira. He's right there trying to get that title shot, and Jamahal Hill might be the next step for him to do it. But on the side of Jamahal Hill, is it too soon for him? Now, some of the reasons why we're asking this question is because, well, if we look at the downside of coming back this soon, he just got knocked out by Alex Pereira at UFC 300, which was maybe a week and a half ago, and he's gonna be coming back 9 weeks after that, which is 8 weeks from now at UFC 303. So a little over 2 months, and he's gonna be coming back after a pretty bad knockout. Or at least that's what the eyes tell us, right? Now, we don't know about his brain scans. That's something that hasn't been released. We don't know about any smaller nagging injuries, but we know that it's not good to fight after you've been knocked out, at least not too soon, because your brain juices just aren't the same, right? So the obvious downfalls of fighting too soon is he could be knocked out a lot easier. His confidence might not be there. He might be a little hesitant. Who knows, right? But however, there are a lot of benefits to fighting this soon that a lot of people may not see or they may not agree with, but I'm gonna let you guys answer that in the comments. Some of these things that I'm talking about are the fact that Jamahal Hill coming back soon is actually really good for his confidence. Keep in mind, Jamahal Hill is an undefeated fighter, was an undefeated fighter in striking, his most dominant attribute. Now, we know about his loss to Paul Craig. He got his arm destroyed. That's another conversation for another day, right? To be fair, Paul Craig has destroyed a lot of people's arms and choked a lot of people out, right? But as far as his confidence striking, He went in there, he tried to strike with Alex Pereira. You saw his confidence even before the fight where he was talking about, I'm gonna knock Alex out, I'm not afraid to stand with him, that's what I do. And a lot of people were skeptical of it because Alex Pereira has had his very storied kickboxing career, 2-weight division glory world champion, now dominating everyone in the UFC in striking, even beat the great Israel Adesanya in striking. So people have been clowning him a lot since his loss, right? That can take a hit on your confidence. However, the best thing for a fighter after a loss is to get a win. You're only as good as your last fight. How many times do we hear that quote? You're only as good as your last fight. In this case, right now, for Jamahal Hill, it's true. The only thing he's going to be hearing online, looking on Twitter, or whatever the hell else social media platform he's on, is going to be negative about him talking shit and getting knocked out. However, keep in mind that if he gets a win, that's then what the talk will be about. If he can beat Khalil Rountree, it's no longer, oh, you got knocked out by Alex Pereira. Now it's, is he ready for another title shot? Where does this put him in the rankings? The former champion, Jamahal Hill, returning from injury. The only person who ever beat him striking-wise was Alex Pereira. He just went against Khalil Rountree, another great striker, and proved that he's a very good striker. Was it just a fluke that Alex Pereira beat him? There's all these little narratives, right? Even though they might not be true, it's a lot more positive, and that's not only good for his career, his monetary value, but it's also good for his headspace. Sometimes it is just better to go back out there and try and get a win. We saw this with Charles Oliveira after he lost to Islam Makhachev, where he was saying that wasn't Charles Oliveira, that wasn't Duke Bronx, and then he went out and knocked out Beneil Dariush, and we saw what that did for his confidence, right? We also saw this with a lot of you guys' favorite fighter, Alex Pereira, the guy who actually knocked out Jamahal Hill. We saw Izzy freeze him and put him in the dirt and use his own celebration on him and teach his son a lesson, and we saw him do all this, and then 3 months later he fought Jan Blachowicz, a knockout puncher, 8 pretty good shots, didn't get knocked out. While he had a close fight with Jan Blachowicz, he ended up winning, and it turned everything around. Nobody was talking about the Izzy fight anymore. Now, let's be fair, what I just said about Alex Pereira being frozen, and sometimes I talk about him not being thought out yet, that's why the Poatards are angry. We're gonna transition here, but before we do, with all that information that we just talked about, is Jamahal Hill really coming back too soon, or do y'all think it's actually a good thing that he's coming back too soon? Not only for his mental state, but to get back in there, to stay active, and to refine upon the skills and deficiencies maybe that he learned from the Alex Pereira fight. I think it is a good thing, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Moving on to the Poatards. Now, like I said, they're fuming right now at what I just said, and they gotta realize that it's just words, it's just good banter, right? I'm not hating anybody, I love Alex Pereira, like I said. However, I hate the Poatards because they're ridiculous, you know? And let me give you an example of the difference between Poatards and regular Alex Pereira fans. An Alex Pereira fan who lives in Brazil and comes across a reaction video where I'm actually going against Alex Pereira, a reasonable guy will say, great content, greetings from Brazil. I love that. Another Alex Pereira fan would say, I love this reaction video, and I love Alex Pereira. Another good comment. However, the Poatards, these are the comments that they leave. Did he say Alex thought out? Since then, Alex has moved up in weight in a heavier division and beat all the champions on their easy mode, while Izzy got run down, beat down, schooled by Strickland, and then talks about retiring till 2027. Sounds like Izzy is mentally and spiritually weak, while Poatan is on top of the world, straight legend, while Izzy in a bar talking to Demetrius Johnson about, I beat that guy one time. That seemed a little hateful. Let's read another one. Respect or freak out Brazil. This is translated, by the way, from Portuguese. Land of the great champions, LOL. The scandalous asshole's face. Adesanya does not deserve respect. What? You're gonna say Adesanya doesn't deserve respect because of what his fan is saying? Okay, long story short, I could read off a million more of these comments, but the fact of the matter is that Poatards think that Alex Pereira is their god and that he cannot be beaten, that there's no holes in his game, and that because he was a glory kickboxing world champion, he could never be knocked out. And the reason they're so angry is because when he got slept over and a grave dug for him by Izzy, they just can't accept it. They disassociate. Oh God, it never happened. 3-1. Immediately they comment. And the amount of 3-1 comments I got on this channel are quite extensive and ridiculous. And if you've had experience with these fans, or even Islam Makhachev and Khabib fans, they're the same way. And I think you guys can agree with me. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ran across some of these fans, because I'm not grasping at straws here. But let me tell you the real reason that they're angry. Not only do they disassociate every time they experience the knockout loss of Alex Pereira, but then they get very, very angry when thinking about the fact that Israel Adesanya will never fight Alex Pereira again. That's why they're always commenting 3-1. Oh, 3-1. When in reality, the way I look at it as an Israel Adesanya fan, he doesn't need to fight that weight bully anymore. Of course, I love Alex Pereira, like I've been saying, but let's not get it twisted. When he was fighting at middleweight, he was a weight bully. Yes, he made the weight. Yes, he almost died. Yes, he was twice as big as anyone he was fighting, including Israel Adesanya. Now, these are just facts that I'm stating. However, another way I look at it is the fact that Israel Adesanya, very close fight in the first fight in kickboxing. Okay, the second fight in kickboxing, Alex Pereira was saved by a standing 8 count and the bell and everyone in Brazil where the fight took place before getting knocked out. Did he get slept unconscious? He did. Okay, 1 win for Alex Pereira. The first fight in MMA, again, saved by the bell after getting rocked and nearly slept right at the bell in the first round. Am I wrong for thinking that Israel Adesanya was better at that point in time? And then, not to mention the final touch when Izzy put him in the dirt, gave him the hammer fist from God and sent 3 of his own arrows into his body, and then broke the arrow because they're never fighting again. And then went on to say that he who laughs last laughs best. You know, as an Israel Adesanya fan, it ended in the perfect way. And I can't even be mad at the people saying 3-1, because say what you're gonna say, Izzy's never gonna fight him again. And he's gonna go on to be, of course, one of the greatest ever. And it was an amazing story, because even if Izzy did fight him again and he won again, what? It's going to be 3-2 and they should fight again. And then it's going to be 3-3 and they should fight again. And then it'll be 4-3 and that will be the end of it. Why? Why would a man who already won have to do anything? And not only did he win, but he won in the most brutal way. And he's had the best win out of any of those 4 fights. I don't think Izzy has anything left to prove in that Alex Pereira trilogy, which is why we no longer care to see that fight. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. No Poatards allowed to comment. And now let's move on to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, guys, he proved me wrong. He shocked the world. He, not only the boxing world, the MMA world, he shocked the entire world. Let's just say it how it is. He fooled us for him being manic and crazy. He played it all out, but he actually was a little bit crazy. To drink every day in camp, to be smoking weed in camp. Now, these things don't help you. Maybe they don't hurt you as much as everyone thinks they do, but they don't help you. What they do help you do, though, is promote the fuck out of a fight, create extreme chaos, make your opponent doubt you. And in that doubt, Devin Haney was caught sleeping on Ryan Garcia. Garcia hurt him in the first round. He continued to hurt him round by round. He played possum. People said his Philly shell didn't work, but it did. It was extremely effective. I have a couple of short videos on my Instagram that I posted talking about it. We talked about it on the Will vs. The Way podcast as well, at how effective that Philly shell was. And to keep it short and sweet, yes, he turned his back. Yes, it might not have looked the greatest, but he actually conditions that part of his body. He said it on the PBD podcast that he recently just jumped on. He conditions that part of his body just like people condition their shins. And Devin Haney, not being a real puncher like Tank or like a Marvin Hagler back in his day, the body punch didn't have that much of an effect on Ryan Garcia, the bigger man. The weight miss, everything, the art of war was perfect in there. Yes, maybe he gave a couple rounds away by giving his back to Devin Haney, but it didn't hurt him. It let him recover. It let him rest. And then whenever he did explode and expend some energy, he hurt Devin Haney bad. And the fact that the judges called it a draw, Jesus Christ, boxing is corrupt. Why there's 12 rounds in general? It's supposed to be corrupt. What, we're supposed to score at 6-6? That way we can just have a bunch of draws in boxing? Why is the amount of rounds in boxing not an odd number? It's built for corruption. And that's just the fact of the matter. And I'm not going to argue with many people on that, because that's just what it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But moving on, not only were the judges corrupt, the ref saved Devin Haney. Actually, I wouldn't even consider it saving him, because yes, they let him continue. They let him finish the fight. There was many times where he got up and he was still wobbling, and they should have called it off because he really could have been killed in that ring, but they let it continue and they were willing to let him die. What's up with Devin Haney and his dad in his corner? I mean, they should have thrown in the towel. Maybe they knew that the judges were corrupt and were gonna give him the win if he just made it to decision. I don't know what the case was behind the scenes, but it seems like Devin Haney's dad really doesn't give a fuck about him, and that's kind of fucked up. I'm just speaking on what we talked about on the podcast and just the demeanor of how his dad is attention grabbing. I mean, you see him after the fight arguing with Mayweather and talking shit about Mayweather, who seems completely calm, and he just seems like an ignorant, arrogant stereotype of what people hate about hood niggas at the end of the day. But it seems like he's always trying to take the spotlight away from his son, and I don't know if that helps Devin Haney. I don't know if he's really the head trainer of Devin Haney or if maybe he's just the figurehead of that camp. I don't know what it is, but I hate seeing these type of things in boxing. But as far as Devin Haney, he may never be the same. We don't know. I mean, taking that kind of damage is not good for anyone's health. But on the flip side, with Ryan Garcia, where does he go next? He's talked about fighting Jerron Boots Ennis, moving a weight class up to 147 and fighting him. I don't know about that one. I think that's a worse matchup for him than even Tank. But he's also talked about fighting Tank in a rematch. They said they would want that at 145 because Ryan Garcia can't make 140. He never could and never has. The lowest he could get his body's down to 143, and that there wouldn't be a rehydration clause. But, you know, I don't know if Tank is even going to take that fight. Why would he? He already has a win over him. There's no point fighting that much bigger of a man. Tank is not a big guy. Let's not forget he fought in the 120s, which Ryan Garcia would never make. So is it a little weak, him calling out Tank? You let me know. But I can see why he wants that one back. Tank kind of fucked him over with that rehydration clause, and I've become more and more of a fan of Ryan Garcia since this whole manic, chaotic build up in this fight. Now, to end this video off, I just gotta say that Ryan Garcia might be the best promoter in boxing. He might be the new age star. He may just be the face of boxing. Him and Tank, the way he built this fight, the chaos that ensued, and the amount of traction and interest that he had in that fight with a guy who can't sell out an arena in Devin Haney. Devin Haney's not getting that rematch. Ryan Garcia might fight Fundora. He might fight Boots. He might fight Tank in a rematch. Let me know who you guys want to see him fight. But the world is his oyster. And Jesus Christ, I will not be fooled again. With that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, and also don't forget to tune in to my podcast, The Will versus the Way, if you want to hear my uncensored opinion along with the casual Mr. Terrence. Peace.